again, when you go with like a declarative first party, yep, your M365 compliance is dictated by your M365 policies as a Microsoft environment. Great. But when you get into custom agents, that's where you kind of have to proceed with a little bit of caution around your data side, because that's when you kind of manage your whole compliance and security measures yourself. There's just more opportunity for data to be spread into different areas without you having any idea. So kind of, as you're kind of seeing, the importance of AvePoint and why it works so well with Microsoft. So I'm a big fan of breaking stuff, pulling stuff apart, putting it back together to learn. That's how I do it with cars and everything else I'm into. And it's no different with IT. It's no different with this and agents. I think it's one of the best places we can start. So we start really small, basic task that might be retrieval only, just want to query a system. Maybe it's HR, CRM is a big one, I think, for most of us here that we can relate to as a good use case. And just even create IT tickets or help desk, whatever tickets you might need to do. From there, we can kind of specialize a bit. It might be things into automating meeting facilitation, research reports, analyzing data, things like that. So that, again, whether you're doing it from an agent or a first party perspective, but making sure that we start being a bit more specific and with our prompts in particular. And then obviously the big ROI as we go up through that is to automate. And that's where I think the most ROI can be had, as I said earlier. So, a couple of examples: financial planning, sales qualification, supplier comms. I mean, there's huge amount of use cases, but when we get into the automation piece, that's again where you're really going to get that ROI, especially on price. So, which is kind of why I wanted to go from that into, I guess, the cost considerations that I would be looking at as any organization that's looking at or already has adopted Microsoft and AI in particular, Microsoft's AI. So again, splitting the two verticals, first party Copilot and Copilot for M365 and embedded into your apps. That's a per user, per month or yearly paid license. And obviously each user who wants access to that inside their apps requires a license. I believe M365 Copilot, so for those enterprise customers using E3, E5, I believe you're at around 55, 60 NZ dollars per month on an annual commit. There's, with the new release of Copilot for Business, same functionality currently, but for 300 seats and under, anyone using business standard basic premium, I believe around $35 per user per month for, again, for first party. When we get into the agent side, this changes a little bit. And there's two ways we can do this. First of all, it's a tenant-wide license when we start talking about Studio, which is your agents. Two ways we can buy this for, again, tenant-wide. We can buy a pack, 25,000 messages per pack. If you needed more messages, you buy another pack. I believe it's about $380 per month per tenant. Or, and what's been probably most popular now, very happy they released this, and we're seeing a big shift with Microsoft moving to like pay-as-you-go, PAYG services, whether it's for Azure, and more importantly, things like SharePoint in that now, and agents, is we can do it on a pay-as-you-go basis. Pay per message, quite simply. I don't know the figures off the top of my head. What I can tell you though is if you're using 15,000 messages or more per month, that's your break-even point to buy the packs like you would for any other business standard E3 license. Purchase it the same way. If you're under 15,000, which I'll be honest, I don't think we've had anybody go over that yet within our organization, pay-as-you-go is a much better way to go. And that just links to your Azure subscription. If you don't have one, we spin one up, and it basically just means you can be billed monthly on usage, which tends to be a lot better. And I think it's just, again, scalable, flexible. That's kind of Microsoft's ethos. So that is the way we tend to sort of look at it. So again, metered consumption versus pack purchase, totally up to you, but worthwhile considering. I think for most organizations, until they're really up and running with agents, pay-as-you-go is by far the best way to go. Once you start reaching that probably $400 a month of consumption, then we go, hey, probably best to move to the packs, it's just cheaper. So a couple of cool ways that we can do that. Furthermore from that, again, very busy slide, but agent cost considerations. Have a look, and we can set up guardrails around this, and my solution architect Craig is probably better to explain this, so apologies, but there's guardrails we can set up so that certain, for example, agent flow actions, we can set up parameters where it won't draw certain actions so that you don't go far over your limit because there's an automation piece set up in the back end, which is, I don't know, creating a generative answer every time you're requesting something. So there's ways that we can mitigate this, but just be aware that from a message perspective, it differs depending on the action, of course. If that user has an M365 Copilot license, so first party, like I said, or what they call declarative, there's a lot of the options here that have no charges, which is quite cool. So generative answer, no charge, which is quite cool. So there are ways to save money if you've got first party Copilot as well as Studio Agent. So I guess Microsoft have done that a bit on purpose, so you're not sort of double paying for the same kind of actions, if that makes sense. But again, just be very careful of this, because we've had some who have not set up any guardrails and have had like a couple $1,000 bills after their first month, and they just haven't set it up correctly. So again, just rely on somebody like Figure 8 to set this up for you correctly as well. Okay, now this this moves really fast, as you'd imagine, all the Copilot features. There's new features almost every day that comes out. Every couple of days in Partner Center announcements from Microsoft, we see something new. I thought I'd just go through a couple of the key ones we've seen in the last sort of 90 days and also cover off a little bit about what is also coming. So again, this is referring to first-party Copilots at the moment. So starting off in Word, they've had a couple of updates around direct document editing and document activation. So I suppose a way that you have a way to be able to open blank documents, edit with Copilot automatically, that activates it, and just kind of, I guess, removing the way in which we collaborate there. So from there, with Excel, they've got a couple of new features around workbook generation. So I guess a way to, they're trying not to just have a tool which just fills cells like they've kind of always done within Excel. So a better way to describe what you need from Excel and from Copilot, just to get full complete formulas and data models, and just I guess have like multi-tab workbooks, all that kind of stuff under the new workbooks. Intelligent data sourcing, so a bit of a game changer when it comes to where to pull your data from as well. So whether that's coming from like your enterprise data sources or just web scraping. So being able to actually elevate the request, determine what the best data source is, retrieve that information, and then obviously integrate that all into Excel. So I guess they're trying to, well, what it is doing is bridging the gap, I suppose, between external intelligence from an LLM and internal data. PowerPoint, which has been a bit of a pain point for me with M365 Copilot, if I'm honest, because I think a lot of the generation of certain content within there has been a bit lackluster, I think, and it's getting better, and I don't think we're fully there yet with this, but this is changing a bit, so getting a bit better for, I guess, being able to understand dialogue and what you're actually trying to get from that visual content creation. So sort of, I guess it's just another step in regards to the layouts, the imagery, all of that, which you sort of want it to do, because I feel like the imagery side was, again, my big pain point with that. So that's quite cool. Brand kit integration, again, another pain point for us within my organization, having templates and stuff for your PowerPoints and that automatically apply. I couldn't believe it. Copilot wasn't able to do that, actually. So
I was just going to ask, when does that come out?
Yeah. So yeah,
gives you a nice PowerPoint, but no,
yeah.
You can't use your format.
So yeah, so that is out. That is out now, which is great. That was Feb. Yeah, like I say, and this stuff moves fast. This is all providing feedback, from us, providing feedback to Microsoft and the like. Super important. So yeah, so a lot of these improvements are, Microsoft will say they're not incremental. They really are incremental, but I guess that is just that shift in which we use, the way in which we use that software. So yeah, I think that's been some great updates there. There are a few more as well. So we've had a few more. I know that Outlook was another bit of a pain point for a lot of people. So email grounding in Outlook. So a couple of little features around, I guess, what was it? I think we had subject line. So we've got subject line appearing in the prompt box, can highlight specific text to ground. So I guess the idea from them is you you've got full work grounding, which is with the licensed product, versus email context only unlicensed. So again, a way to pull in all those other data sources, as we were saying before. From there, we had some of the SharePoint lists and site grounding. So ground prompts on SharePoint lists and sites. So using that / command. From the visual context and AI meeting recaps, I'm not sure how many have been using that in Teams at the moment. That's been pretty awesome. So just AI summaries, so including visuals that I guess shape the conversation, or key moments, I suppose, probably a better way to word it. Rather than having to, I guess, scrub through the whole meeting recording to try find parts, which is, I mean, that's tedious at the best of times when we're talking about a 1, 2, 3 hour meeting session, whatever it might be. And schedule from email threads as well. So that was a big one where Copilot can actually now find times, book rooms, draft agendas, send invites, all in one guided chat flow. That new Outlook version's live now as well. So quite excited about that, because some of us haven't adopted the new Outlook as well as others. I don't know who's still using Classic here. JC, I knew it. Yeah, Mark. Yeah,
thanks.
I'm with you, mate.
It's an age thing. Ages.
Look, I'm with you. I'm still using it.
Standard one.
Yeah. A few other little updates as well around graph connectors for just better ticket-based, requests to other systems like ServiceNow, other CRM systems, Azure DevOps, all of that. I don't know who's sort of seen the release of Claude into and those Anthropic models into Copilot. Huge game changer, I think, for many of us. Obviously, reasoning a lot better, all that kind of stuff. Really, really happy to have that as an option now. That's obviously released now too. Prompt builder. So I think one thing we probably haven't really spoken about as well is around like the way in which we talk to our agents or our Copilot or AI. Super important that we get this right, because again, I mean, as important as our data is, and if we got the wrong data, yeah, like Lauren said, if you have rubbish data, you're going to have a rubbish response no matter what. Same goes for your prompts as well. So making sure that we actually prompt it correctly and get the responses we're after. So there's a few under Prompt Builder, a few new features around content moderation, editing, and obviously, like I said, the new Claude Anthropic models. Agent evaluation too. So when you have those agents, just ways to provide feedback around them, quick thumbs up or down. So just grading accuracy. We've had new activity maps, so agent sequence of inputs, decisions, and sort of just bugs as well, and also CSV templates, having able to add those and validate those, so just faster to test through there. Probably not really going to cover the computer use side so much, because I don't really think that plays much of a part here. And then anyone that's using Visual Studio, so we need the dev team, I don't know if you've got any of that here, but just having that GA now for Copilot Studio to extend into Visual Studio. So anybody doing any kind of code in there, that's now GA as of January as well. So cool. Couple of little points that's launching soon and coming up. So Project Manager Agent, I think Nick, you spoke about some project plan stuff as well. So just AI assisted project tracking. So that's some new features that are coming out. We're expecting that this month. It might actually already be out, to be honest. But I think, yeah, preview's obviously already out. Studio agents and Outlook. That was one part that we didn't have access to for a very long time. So agents and Outlook, it was always first-party Copilot. Now we have the ability to extend agents through Studio or Foundry directly into Outlook, which I think is pretty cool. And again, like I say, the agent side is really where I'd put my sort of time and use case thought into. And I suppose lastly, E7. Anyone heard of E7 yet? I'm still waiting for E9 and E11. I can't wait to see what they put into those. But yeah, new product from Microsoft they've brought out, which I believe is live, May 1st. Still just over a month away. The idea of E7 is everything you get in M365 E5, which is kind of the full stack of security and compliance, as well as all your Microsoft apps and all that you're familiar with, but bringing in M365, so first-party Copilot as part of that price now of E7. Yes, you can do the extending of agents, but I don't think that's really the key here. Intra Suite, so anybody that's using advanced Intra ID features like internet or private access, and then obviously E5 security side of it as well, of course. So that'll be coming out in May. Again, it's more of just a bundle SKU to look at if you're somebody that's already using all the E5 features and then stacking M365 Copilot 2, probably just a better and cheaper way to do this. I think we've been given the price of around 99 USD per user per month. Again, USD pricing, take it as a grain of salt. Might be around the 150 mark. I'm not too sure NZD. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's all I've got from the Microsoft side. I do apologize Craig couldn't be here today as he was obviously supposed to be here. Of course.
The meters, as you go.
Yeah, sure.
Can you give a real world example of how that would actually work? So someone's got a Copilot, someone's got an agent, someone does something.
Yeah.
How does the cost go back and forth to the messaging if you go real world?
Okay.
I can probably talk a little bit to that.
Yeah, sure. You go.
My
JC, that's
understanding
fine.
from,
Yeah.
I went to a very good demo with Craig last year.
Yeah.
And he was quite specific around any internal conversations you have on your own data,
Yeah.
tokens you're not paying for.
Right.
So when you go outside of that, when you start connecting and you've got people like, for example, a chatbot, someone comes into your website and goes, oh, how much is the cruise to whatever? 1 message, 2 messages, 3 messages, 4 messages. That's 4 messages of your 25,000. So when you start integrating outside of your Copilot, external specifically, and other apps, it starts getting internal, you've got free.
I built my own agents with Studio within my own environment.
Yeah.
My license costs are not going to give me more.
You're going to get minimal, if any.
You will still get charged.
Yeah.
But
Minimum.
it's going to be very low because it'd be considered as like a classic answer because you're pulling from Graph, which is
Yes.
your
Which is
tenant.
the first
Yeah. So classic answer. Yeah. And then once you go down, so you go generative answer and then like agent action.
Yeah.
That's and start going outside the graph. That's when you're going to start. The charges will start racking up and be a lot more. Yeah.
I think we should Victoria draw that out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think there's some better examples Craig actually has in some other more technical slides that kind of show this better. So yeah, but
Personally,
yeah.
Yeah, from my experience, because I use Replit, and I'll tell you a little story that I learned Google last year. So I use Replit to actually create apps, and I had this particular app that I made for a social media thing in Thailand, and I didn't look at my Gmail for about 3 weeks, and I spent $11,000 NZ in API calls. So it was nothing to do with Copilot. It was not keeping track and not putting guardrails. So I learned a really, really good lesson. It wasn't even live. That was on my dev platform. So I'm now the best person to speak to around guardrails, around spending money. The best thing you can do is install Copilot, let it run, put some guardrails around it, and it'll just tell you, hey, that last request cost you 15 cents.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And just let it run, and it'll tell you. It'll update you every second. It'll say that day cost you $1 or $2. Cool. Let it run. Don't try to overthink it before you've implemented it. This summary is what I've just come up with. Is look, get good at prompting. I can help you with that. My time to you is free. I'll charge unless I get involved in a particular project. I have to project manage that kind of stuff. It's different, but get good at prompting. What you put in is what you get out. Use it every day. I use it for meeting requests. Teams meetings. An hour meeting. It'll distinguish against the different people in the room. And if I say the name, it'll keep track of that, and then it'll spit out a summary at the end in like 10 seconds. My God, if you're not using AI for your meeting summaries, what are you taking minutes on a piece of paper? Sorry, you're mad. Once you do it once, you'll never go back. Let it handle your meetings, as I said. Build your own agents.